If I could go back and have a word with my 20-year-old self about manifesting, I wouldn't hand him a vision board. I wouldn't give him affirmations. I wouldn't whisper some mystical technique that promised to unlock the secrets of the universe. I'd lean in and whisper, "You're making it so much harder than it is." After 3 decades of experimenting with every trick in the manifesting book, after the vision boards, the affirmations, the scripting, the focusing, the hoping, the trying to believe harder, I've boiled everything down to just a few simple truths. Truths that don't require effort or willpower or being some kind of spiritual superhero. And in the next 15 minutes, I want to share the 5 lessons that changed everything. These are the lessons I wish someone had whispered in my ear decades ago. Number 1, you don't manifest by controlling reality. You align by seeing through thought. When most people talk about the law of attraction, they imagine it as creating something out of thin air. Like, I've got to manifest a new house, a new partner, £1 million. The very compelling switch that tempts us is that we can change from being a victim of circumstances to being in control of our destiny. All we have to do is master our thoughts. That seems very possible. I remember reasoning with myself that if I wanted to think about a sunny day at the seaside, even if it was the middle of winter outside, I could do that. And sure enough, it might lift my mood if I'd been feeling low. Heck, I might even feel a bit warmer. So it's tempting to believe that that ability to choose our thoughts has power over what happens to us. But here's the truth, and it took me years to see this. You don't create reality with your mind. You tune into it by quieting down the noise. It's not an either-or situation. It isn't either I'm a victim or I'm in charge of my life. Think of life like a radio. The station is already broadcasting. You don't have to build the transmitter or shout over the static. You just have to stop turning all the wrong dials long enough to hear the music that was playing all along. I remember when I was writing one of my books. I've written quite a number now. There's a link in the description to my author page on Amazon in case you're interested. There was one chapter that just wouldn't get written. I thought I knew what I wanted to say, but every time I came to write it, the ideas got all tangled up and I thought it was unreadable. So I'd delete those paragraphs and start again, or as became more and more common, I'd stare at the blank screen. I don't often suffer with writer's block, so this was particularly frustrating. It went on for several days and I was starting to get exasperated. And then, on what I think must have been the 3rd or even 4th day of trying to write this thing, I caught myself staring at the computer screen and noticed that I was frowning so hard my forehead had begun to hurt. I laughed out loud. How stupid, I said to myself. I immediately knew I'd never get the thing written by trying to write it. Creativity can't be forced. So I closed the computer, put my coat on and went for a walk. I'm not a great photographer, but I like taking photos, and on this walk I made a point of looking for beautiful things to photograph. Wild flowers growing in the hedgerow, cloud formations, anything that caught my eye. I did that because I knew that would stop me from trying to think about the stubborn chapter. When I got home, I made a fresh coffee, reviewed the pictures I'd taken while the kettle was boiling, and went back to the computer. 20 minutes later, that chapter was written. I didn't even have to think about how to say it. It was as though the words just fell out of my fingers as I typed. All of life works that way. No forcing, including your thoughts. Let new thinking, new ideas arise by themselves. They always will. That's the real engine of manifesting. Not forcing, not thinking positive, seeing through the thought storm and letting the deeper intelligence do what it does best. When the noise fades, what's meant for you is easy to hear. Number 2 is this. Beliefs don't block you. Believing your beliefs does. The self-help world is obsessed with limiting beliefs. You need to reprogram your subconscious. You need to overwrite those money stories. You've got to do this or that technique to stop blocking abundance. That used to drive me nuts because I used to think, how can I know what's in my subconscious? I mean, it's subconscious after all, so how can I ever know? And then I'd think, even if I accept the idea that my subconscious is full of old unwanted beliefs that are getting in the way of my happiness and success, how could I ever be sure I'd cleaned it out? It was sort of like asking a blind person to clean all the cobwebs out of the attic. Fortunately, we can stop being bothered about the subconscious entirely, because here's what I've discovered, and it's subtle, but it changes everything. Beliefs are just thoughts you've taken seriously for a long time. That's it. They're not carved in stone. They're not gatekeepers to abundance. They're clouds, and clouds drift. Back in the day, I used to believe I wasn't good with money. I believed that was just how my life was. I can't tell you how many books I read on how to change your money mindset, or courses I attended where they'd encourage you to think and feel prosperous. None of that ever worked. And I don't want to tell you how many books or courses I went through, because it's embarrassing to think how much time, effort, and ironically money I wasted trying to fix what I believed was a personality flaw. When I finally saw the truth, it was instantaneous and purpose. There's no going back from this. Are you ready? I just saw, oh, that was a thought, and thoughts aren't truth. I no more have to believe that I'm no good with money than I'd believe that the moon is made of green cheese, and neither do you. Now, that's not to say that I woke up the next morning a financial wizard. That would have been delusional, to say the least. What I'm saying is that I relaxed around money. I mean, immediately from that moment on. And now it comes and goes as easily as the tide comes and goes on the shore. If money's your sticking point, by the way, I've created a little free masterclass. It's literally under 10 minutes, but don't underestimate its power. It's called Effortless Money Manifesting. And there's a link in the description, and I'll put a QR code on the screen in case you prefer to scan. When you stop identifying with a belief, it loses all its power. You don't need to fight or reprogram anything. The moment you stop taking old thinking seriously, abundance has a clear path through. The third thing I'd tell my 20-year-old self is a big one. Change isn't hard. It happens the moment you stop trying. For years, I thought changing who I was, changing my mindset, my habits, my circumstances was a battle. I studied personal development avidly. If there'd been a degree in it, I could probably have taught it, let alone pass exams in it. I wanted to be a better person because I believed that somehow the secrets of managing my life, especially the bits I was struggling with, like money and relationships, which are pretty big bits of life, let's face it, I thought those secrets would somehow be revealed to me. I suppose I believed that the teachers of that stuff had their lives in better shape than I had mine in, so they were worth listening to, studying, and yes, paying money to. But those secrets aren't secrets at all. They're freely open for anyone to see and experience in any moment. All you have to do is stop trying to find them. Believing there are secrets to uncover in itself is a wild goose chase. Just stop trying to find them. Stop trying to be a better person. Listen to your own inner wisdom. It's always there, always whispering, always ready to nudge you to the next right step. Believing you have to change before you can have a better life is like saying the river has to try to flow downstream. It just does that anyway. Change is built into the fabric of who you are. The only thing that makes it seem difficult is resistance, the belief that we need to do something special to make it happen. Think about it. Insights always come in the quiet, don't they? Never in the middle of mental arm wrestling. The moment you let go of controlling everything, you naturally flow into the next version of yourself. And that version already knows how to handle the thing you're trying to manifest. One of the most liberating realizations I've ever had is this. You're not stuck because life is stuck. You're stuck because you're holding on too hard. I urge you not to just hear that as some clever line. It really is a way to live with freedom, joy, and all the happiness and success you could ever wish for. Let me say it again. Whenever you or life seems stuck, it's always because you're holding on, trying to control the universe. Fourth one is, attachment is fear wearing a friendly mask. This one hits close to home and follows on from the last point. Attachment isn't love. Attachment isn't desire. Attachment is fear in disguise. It's your mind whispering, if I don't get this exact thing at this exact time, everything will fall apart. Buddha said that desire is the cause of all suffering, and I struggled with that idea for years because it's always seemed to me that desire is a very nice thing. I still feel that way. But not long ago, I read a book that interpreted the Buddha's idea about desire in a different way. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but my understanding of what that author said was this. The desire for things not to change, to stay the same, is the cause of all suffering. That puts a new perspective on everything. Most of us don't want to die. I don't. But we all will. And along the way, our bodies will age. And don't we have things, people and circumstances that we hope will go on forever? The more we are willing to allow change and embrace it, the less we will suffer as and when it happens. Think of a river. It's always flowing. That's what keeps it fresh. Its movement is what allows it to beget life. When did you ever see fish swimming in a stagnant pond? Dip a bucket into the river and you'll have a bucket of water, but you won't have a living river. All life is in constant motion. This applies to every cell of your body, the money in your bank account. It's why it's called currency. Money is like a current. It has to flow. Music couldn't exist if it stood still. Stories have to unfold to be told, and so on. I'm not there yet, I freely acknowledge. I'm still not comfortable with change, and definitely not with death, mine or anyone's, especially of those I love. But I am seeing and feeling it more. Accepting change as life's only constant is becoming clearer. Furthermore, it has an upside. I can't speak for you, obviously, but let me ask you this. Could you be the person you are now without your journey? I couldn't have the life I have now, with a loving wife and a home in the country and doing work I love, including making videos like this one for lovely people like you, without all the ups and downs I've experienced. And if I live a good while longer, I may even look back on this joyful time and say, that was only the start. Who knows? The joy of change is that we don't know what's coming round the corners, and yet we learn and grow as we live. Can you imagine how dull life would be if things and you never changed? But fear tries to script the universe because it doesn't trust the intelligence behind life. But when you trust that intelligence, when you allow it to do its work, what arrives is often far better than anything you could have imagined. Attachment says, it has to be this way. Trust says, surprise me. Okay, finally, number 5. Effortless manifesting comes from the quiet, not technique. If there's one lesson I could tattoo on the sky, it would be this. You don't need a tool to access what's already inside you. All those years I spent searching for the perfect method, visualizations, vision boards, manifestation rituals, I was chasing what was already right here. The subconscious reset isn't something you download. It's baked into our human consciousness. When your mind quietens down, you return to the 0 point, the stillness beneath all thought. And from that quiet, life organizes itself. Sometimes it comes as a new idea, sometimes as a person, sometimes as something so subtle you don't even notice until you look back. But it always comes. That's the ultimate secret. Not a technique, not a formula, just the quiet intelligence that's been doing the heavy lifting all along. There's no technique to being quiet because the quiet's always there in the background. But if I was advising my 20-year-old self, I'd recommend meditating or something similar to get familiar with what quiet sounds like, if that oxymoron makes sense. We live in such a noisy world, not just audio noise, but constant bombardment of our senses with interruptions from our phones all day long and more demands and pulls on our time than at any time in human history, or so it seems to me at least. So, find space. An armchair in a room with all gadgets turned off for 5 minutes will do. Just shut your eyes and notice. Your mind will probably be busy. Let it do its thing. Just watch what it does. When you stop chasing down every thought, your mind will eventually settle down. And every now and then, maybe not at first, and not every time, but sometimes it will go quiet. And in the nothing is everything. Awareness is a blank canvas. It's serene. It may only last a fraction of a second, but you'll know it and you'll love it. So let's recap the 5 effortless manifesting truths. 1. You don't manifest by controlling reality. You align by seeing through thought. 2. Beliefs don't block you. Believing your beliefs does. 3. Change isn't hard. It happens the moment you stop trying. 4. Attachment is fear wearing a friendly mask. 5. Effortless manifesting begins with quiet, not technique. You don't have to make the universe cooperate. You just have to stop fighting with it long enough to hear what it's been saying all along. If this resonates with you, remember I've created a free video training called Effortless Money Manifesting. No techniques, but it will lead you into the quiet and show you how to stop money struggles. You'll find the link below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. And I'd love to know, which of these 5 truths landed with you most today? Tell me in the comments. I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon in another video.